Good morning to all. In this session, we are going to discuss about a new topic on the key management and distribution. So, this topic is entirely related to the keys that we are going to use in the cryptographic systems. We know that the cryptographic system supports two types of things, that is the public key crypto system and the symmetric key crypto system, right. In both the symmetric as well as the asymmetric key crypto system, we are going to make use of different keys for performing the encryption as well as the decryption. And as we know that in symmetric key crypto system, we are going to make use of the same key for both the encryption as well as the decryption. But in the asymmetric key crypto system, we have two different keys and they are going to use one key for encryption process and another key for the decryption process. So, the entire topic which we are going to discuss in today's session and in the coming sessions is related to how we are going to distribute these keys safely to the two parties. We know that any communication should involve two different parties. Let us say it is A and the second one is B. So, we have two parties, one is the sender and the second one is the receiver. Let us assume that they are connected with this link, and when we are discussing about the keys or the crypto system, they make use of the keys, right. So, there should be some provision or there should be some rules, thereby you can safely communicate the keys that are required for the encryption process or the decryption or the digital signatures, anything, wherever you are making use of the keys. So, there should be some provision or there should be some rules or protocols which define how we can safely transfer the keys between these two parties. So, those set of rules are the protocols that are used to safely communicate the keys between the two communicating parties is termed as the key distribution. The name itself is saying that we are going to distribute the things. We are going to distribute the keys. So, the key distribution is nothing but a function that is used to deliver or that is used to disperse the key to the two parties who wants to exchange some information between them. Here in this example, what we have taken, A and B are two parties which want to communicate, and how we are going to safely deliver the keys to these two parties is the term that is related to the key distribution. And as I told that we need some sort of mechanisms or we need some sort of rules or protocols to provide the secure distribution of these keys. So, these protocols or the rules which we are going to use here is going to be which we are going to use to distribute the keys to these two parties is the topic of our interest. In this session, we will be introducing that I will be introducing you to the terminologies that are related to this key distribution. What are the ways you can securely transfer the keys between the two parties? And we will also see the symmetric key distribution using symmetric encryption. That is another term that we are going to discuss, right. How we are going to distribute the keys that are useful for the symmetric encryption. We will also see various types of strategies that are used to distribute these keys, and we will also see what are the advantages and disadvantages of these various strategies that are used to deliver the keys safely. And we will come across some new terminologies like the different types of keys where we are going to use these keys, like session keys. What do you mean by a session key, and what do you mean by the master key? All these things we will discuss. So this particular session is especially related to introduce you to the terminology or to the world of the key distribution. So coming back to our discussion again, as I told that the key distribution is nothing but a function that delivers a key to the two parties who want to exchange the data or information between them, and we need some protocols or rules that provide us the secure distribution of keys. As I told that the key distribution involves two different keys. Please concentrate here, this is the heart of this key distribution. We require two different keys, one is the master key and the second one is called the session key. We can say that the session key is temporary in nature. What do you mean by temporary? Means the session keys are used between the two parties for a limited period of time or for that particular session only, where a session is nothing but a duration of time. When we make use of the keys for a particular duration of time, those particular keys we call them as the session keys. And you can remember that a session is nothing but a duration of time, right? So whenever the session is completed, the key that we are going to use, that is that nothing but the session key that we are going to use for that particular session is going to expire, and for the next session you are going to make use of another session key. That is the importance of the session keys. Remember that these session keys are temporary in nature. And coming to the master keys, these can be something like they are permanent. And remember that these master keys are permanent with respect to the nodes that we are going to make use of it in the communication. For example, if you take this particular scenario where we have two different parties A and B, this A will be having one permanent key which we can call it as the master key of A. This is just my notation, there is nothing there in the textbook. So I am making use of this K subscript MA stands for the key which is master key of the party A. Similarly, if we go for party B, it is also having a master key, we can denote it as MB. Like that, if you assume that there are n number of parties that are involved in the communication, let us assume a network which consists of n number of nodes. In such case, every node will be having one master key. Why we are making use of this master key? Means this master key is used to encrypt the session keys. Very important thing. So these master keys are used to encrypt the session keys. That we will discuss how we are going to make use of it when we go to the concept of key distribution scenario. Very important topic in the key distribution scenario. So the master keys are permanent in nature, which are not frequently used. The frequency of usage is the session keys are frequently used and there are more number of session keys. Don't assume that one communication channel between these two parties will make use of only one session key. It will use different keys for the different sessions. So we have more number of session keys when compared to that of the master keys. And these session keys are the most frequently used keys for the communication to happen securely. But whenever you come to this master key, they are infrequent. And as I told that they are permanent in nature. they are long lasting, they reside until unless you have the party. For example, you say that KMA, master key of A, this will reside with this party A until unless the A remains in the network. Similarly, the KMB, it will reside with this party B until unless it is present inside the network and it is taking part in the communication between in the network. So, these two important keys you have to remember. And another important point is the public key encryption schemes are secure only if the authenticity of the public key is assured. For example, as I told that we have the asymmetric and symmetric, where in the asymmetric key crypto system we will be using a public key which is public, that means everybody can access it. But the importance of this public key encryption scheme is only happens only when the authenticity of that public key is assured. So, you should take care of that public key. It should not be exposed to the attackers, though it is public, it should not be exposed to the attackers. So, for this, that means in order to secure the public key encryption schemes, that means in order to secure the public keys, you need to have some certificate scheme. This is another term, certificates. We will come across these certificates, authorities, certificate scheme. So, to secure the public keys, we need to have the public key certificates which are issued by some third parties, that we will discuss in the coming sessions. But you just remember one important point, that the public keys in the public key encryption schemes will be secured by making use of these certificates concept. It provides the necessary security, the certificates provides the necessary security to secure the public keys. And we have one more term, that I am just giving you the introduction, right. So, we have one more term or the concept which is called as X.509. This X.509 is a very important topic, and it is nothing but it is a framework. We can say it as a framework. It is a framework which is used to specify the format. What format it is going to specify means, it is going to specify the format of public key certificates. In the previous discussion, I told that the public keys in the public key encryption schemes is going to be secured by making use of these public key certificates, and there should be some format, right. Even if you have one certificate with you, for example, your SSC certificate will be in one format, your participation certificate in a workshop will be in another format. Like that, here also for the public key certificates, there should be a particular format, and that format is going to be discussed under the section of X509. So, this is nothing but a framework which defines the format for the public key certificates, and remember that this is the most widely used format. This is the most widely used format, and it is almost used in every application. Any application you take, and whenever you discuss about the public key certificates, the format is defined with the specifications that are specified under this X509 concept. And another term which I am going to introduce here is the PKI. The PKI stands for Public Key Infrastructure. The public key infrastructure, as the name itself is going to describe or it is going to give some information. That means it is an infrastructure to specify the public keys. What do you mean by infrastructure? Means it specifies the hardware and similarly it specifies the software. It also specifies the people that are involved in this public key distribution or the certificate generation, and what are all the policies we have for this public key certificate generation, and is there any procedures that we need to follow to generate these certificates. Is there any procedures to create the certificates, or is there any procedures to manage the certificates, and how we are going to store the procedures that are used to store the certificates, and distribution, how you are going to distribute and how you are going to revoke the certificates. So, if you have given a certificate and you feel that the certificate is not properly utilized, then you can revoke the certificate also. All these things related to the hardware, software, the people involved in generating the certificates, what are all the policies, what are the procedures for creation, management, storage, distribution, revocation, everything will be explained inside this public key infrastructure. That means it is not explanation, we can say that these are all the various components that are involved in this public key infrastructure. And remember that whenever we say that this is a public key certificate, it is nothing but X509 certificate only. So, this is all about the introduction that we have with this key management and distribution. I have introduced to different terminologies, new terminologies within this particular topic. The first one is the master key, which we have defined, and the second one is the session key. The third one is the certificates which are used in the public key crypto system, and X509 certificate and the public key infrastructure. All these things we have discussed. And now it is time to move our discussion towards the main topic, that is the symmetric key distribution using symmetric encryption. This one. We know what is this symmetric encryption is. That means it is going to use the same key for performing the encryption as well as the decryption process. We are all aware of this one. So, in order to make this symmetric encryption to work, the two communicating parties have to exchange or they have to share. What they have to do is, there exists only one key, and what the two parties have to do is they have to share or exchange this particular key. And remember that the key which is going to be exchanged or shared should be protected from access to the attackers. So, whenever you are sharing the common key, you should be very cautious that you never expose those keys to the unauthorized third parties, that is nothing but the attackers. So, whatever key you are going to exchange or share, it should be protected. It should not be exposed to unauthorized third parties. That means no attacker should attack these keys. No attack should happen. This is one point you have to keep it in mind. The first point is, whenever you are going to share the common key within this symmetric encryption, be careful that it is always protected and it is not exposed to the attackers. And the second important point you should also consider is that whenever you are exchanging the secret key, we are simply saying that, oh, you have to protect the keys, but it is not always possible to protect the keys. There are some situations, assume that this key has been compromised or this keys has been attacked. right? Whenever an attacker attacks the communication system and whenever he knows about the keys, that should not be the end of the story. This is the important point you should understand. So that should not be the end of the story. The thing is that even though the attacker has attacked and he has taken some keys from us, you should design the keys in such a way that from those keys the attacker can get only limited content. So with a single key, we should not make the attacker to get all the information from us. Though some keys are compromised, you be careful, or you should design the keys in such a way that okay, some keys has been compromised, no worries. Why? Because only limited amount of information should be compromised. So the design should be done in such a way. Right. So for this purpose, one thing you can do is you can frequently change the keys. One option we have with us is frequent change of keys should happen. So you should keep on changing the keys. That how we are going to do all these things we will discuss, right? So what important point I want to stress here is frequent changes in keys is usually desirable to limit the amount of data compromised if the attacker learns the keys. That is what I told, right? So even though the attacker has learned the key, so from that key the attacker should not get all the data that is present at the sender side or the genuine party. For this, the solution what the author has suggested is you please try to change the keys every now and then. That is, the frequent key changes should happen. Therefore, because of these two reasons, where you have the symmetric key encryption, where you will be using only one key for both the encryption and the decryption, you should be very cautious that particular key which you are going to share between the two parties should be protected. No attacker should attack it. Though the attackers has attacked it, they should not get the entire information from them, from the genuine parties. For this, you have to exchange or you have to change the keys every now and then. For this to happen, or these two particular things can happen, this is the strength of the cryptographic system. These particular strengths should happen only with the key distribution technique. At the starting of this session, we have discussed about the key distribution. The key distribution is nothing but a term or it is a function which refers to the means of delivery of a key, how we are going to deliver or how we are going to share the key to the two parties who wants to communicate with each other. So for our example, let me take two parties, two genuine communicating parties. One is the A, which is called as the sender, and the second party is B, which we can call him as the receiver. Okay. Now they are communicated with a communication channel. Good. And as I told that you always consider our topic of interest is symmetric encryption only. So a single key should be there and that should be exchanged between these two parties. These two parties has to share this this is the key. They have to share the key. And how this sharing or the exchange of key can happen between these two parties is going to be our topic of interest for the next few minutes. The common key which is going to be shared between these two parties can be done in 4 different ways. The first way is A is going to select a key A is going to select a key and he is going to deliver it to B physically. Right, whenever A wants to communicate with B, he will generate a key here and he will make use of it for encryption, and what he will do is he will physically go to party B and deliver the key. This is called as physical delivery of the key. There are some disadvantages for this particular scheme. Why? Because this is suitable, or the physical delivery of the keys is suitable whenever we have a limited number of nodes in the network or limited number of systems in the network. For example, you take a vast network, distributed wide area network or a wide area distributed network which consists of some thousands of nodes, and remember that these nodes are not located in the same location. Assume that there are 50 systems located in Kakinada and 50 systems located in Delhi, 50 systems located in Mumbai. In such scenarios, whenever we have the distributed systems concept, and assume that some 50 systems are present in Australia also. So, how the party A, which is located in Kakinada, is going to physically deliver the keys to the parties that are present in the Australia is very difficult, right? So, there are some practical difficulties in the physical delivery, but one important advantage with this particular physical delivery is, since these two parties are the genuine parties and party A, which is one of the genuine parties, is going to deliver the key physically, nobody can access the key. The party A can assure that, okay, I have delivered the key successfully, or I have delivered the key securely. This is the assurance that A can give. This is the advantage of physical keys, or this is the advantage we have with the physical distribution of the keys. So, for this purpose, we are going to this is what we have with this physical delivery. Advantage and disadvantage also we have discussed, right? This is one way where the party A, who is the sender, he is going to generate the key and he is going to physically deliver it to B. Very simple technique. And the second way by which you can distribute the key in the symmetric encryption is you depend upon a third party. What is the role of this third party? Why we need to believe it? Means there are some situations where you can understand that this third party plays very important role. Why we should depend means there are some situations where you always believe the third party rather than the genuine parties. This happens in the real life also. So, the third party you are going to depend, the two parties are the n number of nodes or the devices that are present inside the network. They are going to rely upon the third party for generation and distribution. So, this third party is going to generate the keys, and after generation it is going to distribute these keys. Remember, distribute these keys physically, right? Here also the distribution of keys for both the parties A and B is going to happen physically. So, I can make modifications to this thing, right? I can put a third party system here. This is the third party, we can call it as KDC, let us say, or a third person. Let us forget this KDC. We can say that there is a third party. These two parties rely upon this third party. So, whenever the party A and party B wants to communicate with each other, they will just have a conversation with this third party person. And what this third party will do is he will generate the keys for A for this particular communication, and he will physically go to A and deliver the key. Similarly, he will physically go to B and deliver the key. So this is also a category of physical distribution. So the two categories are physical distribution of keys. And the third way by which the key of the symmetric encryption can be safely delivered, can be securely delivered is they depend upon another party, right? The third party itself, which we are calling it as KDC, very important terminology, KDC. KDC stands for Key Distribution Center. I am writing here. KDC stands for Key Distribution Center. So the two parties, the two genuine parties A and B, they rely upon this KDC. And remember that this is not a person, this is a distribution center which consists of number of systems, or they may have number of people that are recruited for this particular purpose only. What happens here is this A and B are having secure communication channel between this A and KDC. Similarly, KDC is having a secure communication channel to B, which is very secured. Right. Whenever the sender A wants to communicate with B, what he will do is, first of all, they will communicate with the KDC. And since what KDC will do is, they will generate the keys, and those keys which are generated at the KDC will be securely transmitted to both the parties A and B. This is not physical, they are going to just transmit it through the communication channel. And remember that this communication channel is highly secured. This is the most widely used technique, very important technique, this one. Making use of the third party, which is called as the key distribution center. The main role of the key distribution center is he will generate the keys that are required for the safe communication of the parties, and he will deliver the keys through the encrypted links. Remember how we are going to secure these two channels, means by making use of encryption. Here the channels are encrypted, secured through encryption. Therefore, we can call them as encrypted links or encrypted channels, we can call them. This is the most frequently used. Nowadays, we are using this one only. Right? No physical transmission or no physical sharing, delivery of the keys. It is not at all possible in the present generation. And the last technique by which one can securely share the key is, listen carefully, there is a scenario here, right? We have two parties A and B. I am just redrawing it, that is it, nothing more than that. We have two parties A and B, and assume that this A and B started their communication and they have shared a key. One key is securely shared, and what now A will do is, this is world key, let me say it as world key. So the first key that is generated at A is securely delivered to B, whatever the method it may be, whether it is a physical delivery from A to B, or whether it is a delivery of the keys on the encrypted link, all this is different case. But assume that the first key that is generated by A is safely received at B. And what A will do is, in the next scenario, he will generate a new key. Let us say it is key 2. He will generate a new key, and what he will do is, he will encrypt it by making use of the old key. So here the concept here is encryption of the new key with the old key. Here key 2 is new key, key 1 is old key. So the new keys which you are going to transmit from A is going to be encrypted with the old keys. This is something very different thing, right? So one party can transmit the new key to the other, encrypting the new key with the old key. But there are some disadvantages. Let us discuss those disadvantages later. Right now we have discussed these 4 different ways of distributing the symmetric key which is responsible for the symmetric encryption. So the 4 ways are, 2 of them are physical, where A will select a key and physically deliver it to B, or they can appoint a third party who generates the keys and who will physically distribute the keys to A and B. And the third technique what we have discussed is very important. The parties who are going to communicate in the network, they are going to employ or they are going to rely upon a third party which is called as a key distribution center. And by making use of this key distribution center, I told that this KDC is connected to the parties by making use of the encrypted links or channels. So the KDC generates and it will distribute it securely over these encrypted channels. The last one is something a different technique, where a new old key is safely reached to the receiver, and after that whenever A generates a new key, he is going to encrypt it by making use of the old keys, right? So these are all the 4 techniques we have for the distribution of the keys. This is what I have told, right? There are 2 parties, A and B. Key distribution can be achieved in a number of ways. The first one is A can physically generate the key and physically deliver it to B. The second one is they are going to rely upon a third party who can select the key and physically deliver it to both A and B. The third one is if A and B have previously and recently used a key. Okay, this is the 4th one I told, nothing wrong in it, right? The order may change. This is the 3rd one. So the 3rd one is A and B each has an encrypted connection to the third party C. This third party C is nothing but KDC, key distribution center. And key distribution center can deliver a key on the encrypted links to both A and B. And the 4th technique is, if A and B have previously and recently used a key, one party can transmit the new key to the other encrypted using the old key. Very simple techniques, very simple. Now it is time to discuss what are all the advantages and disadvantages we have with these different 4 methodologies or 4 methods for distribution of keys. If you look at the first 2 things, they are related to the physical delivery of the keys to the parties. I told you about the advantage, right? The advantage of these first 2 techniques is, since it is the physical delivery, you can assure that the keys are not compromised. You can assure that the keys have been safely received and acknowledged. But the disadvantage is, it is not possible in the real world scenario, that too in the present scenario, right? Why? Because I told that we have different systems like the distributed system or the wide area distributed system, where which involves number of devices, right? And for these number of devices you have to generate various number of keys, numerous number of keys you have to generate. You have to dynamically generate and you have to physically transmitting or physically delivering those generated keys, more lump sum amount of keys to all the parties physically remains awkward. It is highly impossible. It's not nothing about the awkwardness or thing, right? It is highly impossible to relate this particular physical delivery of keys to the distributed as well as the wide area distributed systems. right. So that's all, that is the advantage and disadvantage we have, and we can have some number of formulas also, right. Since we have the encryption that happens in the network layer or the transport layer or the application layer, security can be provided at any of these things, right. You can provide an end-to-end encryption at the network or the IP layer. In such case, that means when you provide the security at the IP level itself, IP layer itself, then one key is needed for each pair of hosts on the network that want to communicate. For example, let us say that I have 4 parties A, B, C, D that want to communicate. So every party, if they wants to communicate each and every pair like this, in such case you will require the number of keys as n into n minus 1 by 2, where n is nothing but the number of nodes that are present in the network, right. For example, let us take this A, it requires 3. Why? Because it has 3 different parties. And for B, it is one key is already there with A, therefore it requires only 2 new keys. If it is C, it requires only 1 key, like that, right. So it is something about the summation of different summation of n series. So it is related to n into n minus 1 by 2. And if it is at the application level, since it is related to the IP level, they are going to work with the networks IPs only. But if it is an application layer, right, application layer means it involves some thousands of applications. So you require number of keys. So IP level itself takes n into n minus 1 by 2, where n is the number of nodes in the network. That's something very small in number, right. For example, if you take this computer A, assume that it consists of some 1000 applications that are running in the system, and similarly B, assume that again 1000, D 1000, C 1000. So you can assume the quantity of the applications that we have inside this A, B, C and D. Huge number of applications. So if you provide an application level security, then the number of keys that you want to distribute to the other parties is something ranges into millions and some tens of millions of keys. So management of these keys, when we go for the application level security, is something in the range of millions of keys. It will be very difficult for the normal person to manage. I told you, right, assume that there are some 4 locations. Our company is expanded in 4 locations. One is at Australia, another one is at Africa, another one is at America, and we have the main branch in India. In such case, manual distribution of the keys, assume that 50 systems in India, 100 systems in America and 200 systems in Australia and 500 systems in Africa. In such situation, generation of keys at one location and physically delivering it to the other locations is highly impossible. So that is the advantage. You just remember one disadvantage, that is they are physically delivered, they are physically acknowledged. Okay, I got the B, who is the receiving party, he will acknowledge I received the pack, I received the key genuinely. That is the advantage we have. But physical implementation of this particular scenario, where you want to physically deliver the keys to the other parties that are present inside the network, will be a impossible task because of different network systems that we have. Example, wide area system, distribution system, right. After these 2 options, the third one he is explaining about this one, right. Let us see what is the disadvantage and advantage of this one. if A and B have previously received the key, okay, one party can transmit the new key by encrypting it with the old key. What is the disadvantage? If you think of the disadvantage, if assume that an attacker has succeeded in gaining the access to any one key, let us see, let us take this scenario. A, B. First they have exchanged key 1, okay, successful. Second, what they will do is they exchange key 2 by making use of key 1. That means key 1 is the old key. They will make use of the old key. Similarly, assume that there is another key exchange between them, K3, which makes use of K2 now. Old key is used, right? And don't assume that only the key exchange happens in this direction only. Let us see another direction. From B to A, this also happens, right? Assume that K4 has been generated and this is encrypted with K3. For example, assume that attacker has attacked this particular exchange. That means K2 has been attacked and he is able to get this K1 at any cost. For example, let us assume that K2 has been attacked by this attacker. So from now onwards, whatever thing or whatever key they are going to exchange, the A and B, everything is compromised. Why? Because the new key is based upon the old key. So if the old key is known to the attacker, then what are all the new keys that the two parties are going to communicate or exchange, they are just lost. Everything is compromised from. That is the disadvantage we have with this scheme. So the concept is, when the attacker knows the at least one key, then all the subsequent keys will be revealed. They are completely exposed. The entire security is lost. This is what you have to understand here. And here also it involves a lot of keys to be generated before the exchange, right? And coming to the last one, very important. Last one. As I told that A and B, they are going to make use of the third party, which is C, which is called as the key distribution center. And this key distribution center, as I told that it is responsible for delivering a key via the encrypted channels. And as I told that this is the most widely used technique. And to whom it is going to generate or distribute the keys means, it is going to distribute the keys for the host. Either it can give it to A or B, or it can distribute it to the processes, or it can distribute it to the applications also. So the key distribution center plays very important role in generation and distributing of keys to the host, processes as well as the applications. And remember, here comes the concept of two different keys, right? In the starting session itself, I told that we require two different keys. One is the master key and the second one is the session key. So here the key distribution center is going to make use of some hierarchy of keys. And this hierarchy consists of only two levels of keys. One is the master key and the second one is the session key. And as I told that the session key is going to be used to secure that particular session. Only that particular session is going to be secured. And as I told that it is temporary key. It is temporary in nature. So the communication between the end systems is encrypted using a temporary key which is called as the session key. And the session key is used, as I told, that it is temporary and it is going to be used only for the duration of that particular connection, duration of the logical connection only. So it retains its life for the entire logical connection. And once the logical connection is completed, you can simply discard, or you can simply you can say that the session key is killed, or you can say that you can discard the session key. And for every new session you want to initiate, you have to generate a new key. That is the advantage. In the previous also I told that it is better that you change your keys on a frequent basis. This is the why I have explained the reason, right? Why we are going to change the keys every now and then means, for example, if the attacker knows the keys, he should not get all the information. He can get some quantity, very little bit of information they can get. So to achieve this goal, you need to change the keys every now and then. That is achieved by making use of this session keys. Very important. So each session key, whatever session key you are going to use for this every session, you are going to get it from the key distribution center and they are going to be used by the end users. And next key, in the hierarchy we have the session key and the second one is the master key. As I told that the session keys are transmitted in the encrypted form. Very important, very important. We will see with an example also in the next coming session. In the next immediate session we will see. And whatever session keys we are using for the secure communication between the channels, and the temporary keys should be encrypted, and that encryption should be done with the master keys. And it is a long lasting key which resides at each and every party that is involved in the network. And what is this master key will do is, it is going to, what is the purpose means, the master key is going to be used for the encryption of the session key, right? So every party who wants to have the secure communication, they have their own master key like this, and before the communication is established, communication setup is established, they need to exchange this master key to the KDC, so that whenever the KDC is going to send the session keys to A and B, they are going to make use of, the KDC is going to make use of this master key for encryption, right? So let us say that KS is the session key and KM is the master key of some KMI, let us write it, master key of node I. The first step what the sender or the party has to do is, they have to send their master key to the KDC. Then KDC will generate the KS, and that KS will be encrypted by making use of this master key, and they will be securely sent to the parties. This is the benefit of, or this is the main role of this master keys. Very important thing. And as I told that for each and every system or for each and every user that is present in the network or who is going to take part in the communication, they are having the unique master key, and that is going to be shared with the key distribution center only. And how you are going to send these master keys from A to KDC or B to KDCs or from C to KDC, that is you can do it by using any technique, right? It is, but the thing is that that master key should be securely delivered to the KDC. And here also you can observe that the number of session keys for n entities or for n nodes that are present in the network, as I have given the formula as n into n minus 1 by 2. These are the session keys, right? It is not limited. So the session key is not limited to only 1 or 2 or something like that. So, and if you consider the master keys in a network consisting of n nodes, the number of master keys is given by n. N nodes, n master keys. M nodes, m master keys. 5 nodes, 5 master keys. 2 nodes, 2 master keys. That is the important thing you have to understand. Right. And one more important thing is, this master key can be distributed or sent to the KDC in a non-cryptographic way, such as the physical delivery, right? Non-cryptographic way means physical delivery is also possible. Let us see what is this graph and everything. This is the first graph which gives the relationship between the number of keys required to support arbitrary connection between endpoints. So these are the number of endpoints and these are the number of keys. So if the number of endpoints, that is nothing but devices, endpoints is nothing but devices. If the number of keys is 1000, if the number of systems in the communication network is 1000, 10 power 3 is equal to 1000, right? The number of keys that are required is 1 million, that is 10 lakhs. And if you keep on increasing this one, you can observe here that it is something less than million, right? 10 million, 1 million, here it is going. And for 10 power 4, that is for 10,000 systems, you can see here where it is meeting. It is around 10 power 7 to 10 power 8. And if the number of systems is 1 lakh, see here, it is around 10 power 10. That is the number of keys that you want to generate. So it is almost like an exponential graph. As the number of nodes in the network is going to increase, the number of keys that you want to generate for a safe communication to happen between these n number of devices is growing in an exponential fashion. That you can get it from this particular graph. And this is the hierarchy what we have discussed now. We have two keys, one is the session keys and the third one is the master, the second one is the master keys. So this is the actual data I have with this system, and this data should be cryptographically protected. So to cryptographically protect, I need the session key, this one. So I will divide this into number of sessions. So whatever data I want to transmit, I will make it into different parts, and at each and every session I am going to transmit some amount of data. And remember that amount, a small amount of data that you want to transmit should be safe, or it is to be cryptographically protected. For that I am making use of the session keys, and these session keys are also should be protected cryptographically. That means cryptographically protection means nothing but you want to encrypt it, that's it, nothing more than that. So whatever data I want to transmit, I want to encrypt it with the session keys, and these session keys should also be cryptographically protected. Therefore these has to be encrypted. So for encryption I am making use of these master keys, that's it. But remember that the master keys are non-cryptographically protected. That means you can make use of the physical delivery of the master keys to the KDC. That is simple thing. So whatever data you have, you will be sending it to the other party in chunks, and that is protected, and that protection is given by session keys, and these session keys should also be protected cryptographically. That means encryption should be done by making use of this master keys, and these master keys you can securely transmit it using the physical delivery of the master keys. That's all for today's session. Let us have a quick recap of what we have discussed in today's session. We started our discussion with the key management and distribution. We have seen what this symmetric key encryption is, what this asymmetric key encryption is. We know that the keys are very important for performing the symmetric key encryption or the asymmetric key encryption, and the two parties who are involved in the communication, they make use of two different keys. One is the master key and the session key. We have seen the differences between this master key and session key, where the master key is permanent and infrequently used, where the session key is temporary and most frequently used. We have n and n into n minus 1 by 2. And after that, I have introduced you to three terms, that is the certificates, which are used for securely processing the public keys in the public key crypto system. And the second new term is X.509, which is a framework which specifies the format of public key certificates, and it is the most widely used. And finally, I have introduced you to PKI, which stands for the public key infrastructure, which involves hardware, software, people, policies, procedures for generation, storage, distribution, management, revocation of these certificates. And once we have an idea of this, we started our discussion on the symmetric key distribution using symmetric encryption. Before this, we have started our discussion with why we need to exchange the keys and why we need to protect these keys exchange, sharing of keys, and why we require this frequent change of keys, why it should happen. All these things we have discussed, and then we have moved our discussion towards the various methodologies that are used to exchange the keys between the two parties. The first two are the physical exchanges. The third and fourth makes use of some KDC. The last one makes use of the key distribution center, and the third one they make use of the old keys for encrypting the new keys. And finally, we have used different we have discussed on these session keys as well as the master keys. Why we require these session keys, why we require these master keys, everything was discussed in detail. So that's all for today's session. Thank you one and all for joining this session.